Let's today breaking Arise News, and it's time for the press preview. First look at what's on the front pages, and we start with our sister publication, this day newspaper. Let's see what it has on its front page. It says, report, Nigeria's $15.7 billion 2022 fuel subsidy projection to exceed all 36 states' budget. It had some riders. Let me just read one or two or three of them. Monthly stolen oil equivalent to budgets of Osun, Kwara, Ekiti. NNPCL loses $700 million monthly to crude oil theft. Wants quick legal framework, stiffer sanction for criminals. And then just down there below that picture, Oba escapes assassins' bullets, security aides, others, including police personnel, killed in deadly attack. The Orange Strip, LGR's call to other lecturers back to work. Akeredolu, most qualified to head Southwest Tinubu Shetima Campaign Committee. And then just above the This Day logo, Atiku presents policy plans at Editors Forum tomorrow. And then on the top mast, monuments pay respect, or mourners rather, pay respects as Queen Elizabeth the second funeral procession begins.
The Punch newspaper, federal government may lose 7.58 trillion naira to contract disputes and damages. Tributes as Queen Elizabeth's coffin arrives Edinburgh. The senior advocates of Nigeria, professors to defend ASU before industrial court.
The Daily Sun, it says Catholic bishops direct churches to beef up security, said Nigeria in darkest moment in history. Already we talked about Oba escapes government attack convoy. Then below that picture of the bishops and Oni, uncertainty over Wike Ayu talks with two riders, no definite date for meeting. Ayu's emissaries keep mum. And then just by the side of that picture, legal crisis looms over stripping APC NWC powers. Of course, at their last meeting, the NWC was given the powers of the neck. We'll see how that pans out.
In the Nation newspaper, 210 days after federal government asks court to stop ASU strike, Nigeria's debt stocks hit 45.25 trillion naira. 6 feared killed in attack on Uba's convoy.
All right, some international newspapers. The I newspaper. Queen's final journey begins.
And this is the Financial Times. Ukraine offensive makes significant gains. And the Queen's coffin begins journey south as King Charles prepares for whistle-stop tour across Britain.
The same thing in Independent, but let's look at The Guardian. Russia launches revenge attacks as Ukraine offensive gathers space.
Well, The Independent says the Queen begins her final journey as thousands line streets to pay their last respects.
All right, let's bring in Professor Adeni to look at this. It's got to have you here, Professor Biodu Adeni. Good morning to you. Good morning. Let's start with this day newspaper. Report, Nigeria's $15.7 billion 2022 fuel subsidy projection to exceed all 36 states' budget. That's one. And then, of course, FGR's call to order lecturers, which you are one, back to work, but you're not on strike. Yeah. So let's look at those issues.
Well, the conversation around subsidy is will continue, no doubt, until we're able to take the bull by the horn, And what are the options before us? Let the market decide. The prices of PMS are consistent with what is happening around the West African sub-region and in continental Africa, and probably in other parts of the world. Arguments have been made, and rightly so, that PMS is the cheapest in this country. But again, we understand the position of government that they do not want to remove don't want to stop paying subsidy, you know, so that it will not lead to inflation and cause more hardship for the common man. But for how long are we going to continue to, in this regard, in the face of reducing resources, in the face of more needs, you know, in other sectors of the economy? You know, as we on strike, there's a need again for more social investment, more realistic social investment, that is, you know, and all such things really. So at some point we might just have to take the bull by the horn. And I think that yes, government has made projections to do it maybe some June next year. I think that's a bit too long, you know, because a couple of months ago, we didn't see NNPC making remittance to the national pulse, which is also another problem. So it's just okay for us to juggle the options available for us, you know, be strong in terms of political will to take the rightful decision. If we're going to take it off, you know, let there be other means of cushioning the pain on the ordinary people, since that's the main argument really. But I think the question of subsidy removal has been elongated enough, and it's just time that we'll move on, you know, realizing that we cannot exist in isolation and against the background of existing realities around us.
The federal government's caught on that.
Yeah, well, it's maybe you'll say a reasonable way to go if moral suasion is not working, you know, if collective bargaining is not working. You know, government is probably thinking of a third party intervening in their dispute with us. But beyond that, you know, I doubt if there can be anything that will be better than coming to understanding, coming to terms with the realities, you know, projected by the other party. I've made this argument severally, that government, you know, is a bigger loser in the circumstance, and they have to make the more concession. And making more concession is just like a father trying to assuage, you know, the son, you know, and that's the role that government should play here. At the end of the day, it might be possible that the industrial court may even further ask that there should be out-of-court settlement. So why don't we explore, exhaust that option before resorting to court? And remember also that the pro-chancellors and vice-chancellors met, set up a committee, or maybe a loose arrangement among some of them, erudite scholars, you know, versatile administrators, which is very hopeful. We are very hopeful that they could leverage on their experiences and make valuable suggestions such that the resort to court may no longer be necessary. You know. But I think we can get we can find a common ground in all of these, because we do not know how the adjudication process may last, how long it will last. And what it will mean at the end of the day is that the strike will continue ad infinitum, and students will continue to suffer. Even the lecturers' agitation and pain will continue. And we have to also remember that the lecturers are not necessarily happy. They too are discomforted. You know, they have not been paid. It's not easy. I mean, in this kind of economy, for you not to receive salary. So nobody is enjoying this strike. And I think, you know, somebody has to just be much more graceful, much more courageous, much more ready, you know, to take the greater pain. You know, it's not about ego or pride, but it's about reality and the realization, understanding the fact that, you know, our nation is the greatest loser in the circumstance, and peace is actually the ultimate. You know, so that our sectors, education particularly, you know, can get back to a functioning state.
Professor Bioni, you speak of peace, but in the southeast that may not be the case, of the situation with the people. The president is set to visit Imo State on Tuesday, tomorrow, but already there's been an attack on a lawmaker, Senator Uba, and 6 are feared killed in that attack. Professor, how much more violence can the southeast take before the governors in that region make a move?
Yeah, that was a very terrible report yesterday. It was very, very shocking, coming at a time where we thought that the rise of unknown gunmen was declining. And of course, the way they did it, the bravado, the gusto those gunmen, you know, had, it's just unbecoming. Imagine them taking on a whole convoy made up of policemen and other security agencies, and on a personality like Senator Ifeanyi. But very unfortunate, very scary So if they could take on that kind of convoy with those security men, then what is the fate of us lesser mortals in the circumstance that we live in? Which is very unfortunate and really, really very scary and fearful. I do not know how much more to describe, how else I can describe it further, but it's just a reason again for us to ask that our security agencies, should maybe step up a little more, work better with the communities. Because I imagine that these government, were inserted, they were integrated into the community, embedded into the community, and that was why they were able to carry out those operations. They are not spirits, we're working well with the communities means that we can get information, we can get information that they can process into intelligence ahead of this attack, or probably to enable them nip these attacks in the bud. But in the situation where we are distanced from the community, the security agents, that is, of course, we know that it's a recipe for the evil people to operate better. So I think we just have to up the ante, and whatever it's needed to bring about peace in the southeast, the government should not also hesitate. And do not forget again, they're also talking about what do they call it now? Is it total lockdown?
Yeah,
these things affect the economy of that region. Very unpleasant condition, very unpleasant situation. And again, it might just be asking us, to pay closer attention to the reason, to the themes surrounding this continuous, subterranean but effective agitation by these people. Are we listening to them enough? Are we trying to consult with them? Are we finding a common grounds? Or are we just seeing them as irritants? People who we shouldn't just be concerned about. I think we should pay attention to their grounds, so that we could probably see how we can resolve it. These kind of wars are not necessarily won through the hard means, not necessarily through the physical military means. We have also talked about it severally. Non-kinetic, consultation. The soft means are very helpful. Yeah, in the resolution of crisis like this.
All right, let's look at the Sun newspaper. 3 stories just jump at you on the front of the paper. One is Catholic bishops direct churches to beef up security. And then just below the picture, uncertainty over Wike IU talks. One seems to be getting tired of this Wike matter. And then just by the left there, oil theft. NNPCL loses $700 million monthly. That does a lot of harm to our economy, especially our foreign reserve.
Yeah, no doubt, especially at the time, like we said earlier, where we are witnessing depleting resources, where debt is rising and where we have revenue, we have a problem, like the Foreign Finance Minister has acknowledged. And of course, it's a shame for us not to be able to profit, from the unfortunate conflict between Russia and Ukraine. We are probably the only country that is not profiting. And what does it tell us? What does it tell us? It just says that there's a lethargy of there's a lethargy somewhere, there's a reluctance somewhere for people to actually do their job, and there's a reason to also say that the faith that citizens, that even some agencies have in the system is very weak. People do not believe in the Nigerian entity. They just see that it's a place where you just make what you can make for yourself. It's a question of self-aggrandizement. Otherwise, how can we have this kind of haste going on in the oil sector, where we have agencies that are supposed to be responsible? And it's just becoming, it's mind-boggling, So, I mean, from all cadre, there's no cadre that can be exonerated from these shameful acts. And, well, there were some developments, around government giving matching orders, around contracts being awarded for around surveillance contract. We can only be hopeful that it will bring about some, some decency. Maybe us getting back to what should be what the case should actually be. We can only be. It's just a question of hope, But again, it's a shame that we came this low.
There you in just less than 45 seconds. There you weak.
Oh yeah, that's like you said. Yeah, it's just something that is continuing, and of course I don't know what else to say. It's just becoming more like a personality clash. something about ego and pride and prestige, and I think at some point they will resolve it. But the PDP should know what they are up against. They are up against a ruling party, and they are in disarray, which is not going to be good for them if they think they want to they want to be a match to a ruling party. You know, it's high time they get this crisis done with.
Thank you so much, Professor Abiodun Adeniyi. That's the press preview. Let's hear your view. Follow us on Twitter @AriseTV, and you can have your say on the conversation this morning with the hashtag AriseDaybreak.